Hello, Athens. My name is Valeria, and the topic for my speech today is AI Agent 007, Build Your Own Cloud Architect in 30 minutes. So I'm going to teach you how to make AI agent that can manage cloud services on your behalf in 7 simple steps in just 30 minutes of your time. Before we begin the tech talk, I want you to ask yourself a question. What do you not like to do? I want you to think of this question throughout the presentation and share your answers at the end. Today we'll start with my intro, then we'll get to know what is an AI agent, how to make it, and what things to keep in mind. And before we begin, I'd like to know the level of my audience today. So raise a hand if you know what is an AI agent. Cool. Keep your hand raised if you build an AI agent already. All right. And keep your hand raised if you did it with ADK. All right. So we have one pro in the room. Now that I know a little bit about you, I'll tell you a little bit about me. I'm a certified Pythonista, and I also recently became Google Cloud certified. Technically, I like collecting pieces of paper with my name on it. Here's also 2 truths and a lie about me. First one, I've never been to Greece before. Second, I've never had a Greek colleague. Third, I've been reading Greek myths before sleep in my childhood. You can make your bets and check your intuition at the end. And we're also going to have a quiz with prizes, so pay attention and it will be worth it. If to talk about my experience, I started as a freelancer for other companies. Then, when I gained enough experience, I was invited to be a mentor for junior developers. After that, I had a really nice time at an Austrian company called Wigfinda. And now I'm a developer in Google in Applied AI team. Big disclaimer, I'm not talking on behalf of any companies I work or worked for. I'm just sharing my personal knowledge. So, what does Applied AI team do? Probably some AI stuff. I would say Applied AI is not about science. It's not about training models or creating them from scratch. It's about using models built by these scientists. And my talk today is about how to apply AI. One of the options where to apply AI is agents. Now, a very important question. What is an agent? Thinking face emoji. So, slide 9 is where you get the answer. Most of the publicly available solutions are LLMs or LLMs with RAG. If to make an example, LLM can help you find tips for creating a Kubernetes cluster. An LLM with RAG can help you find exact commands as well as check if there were outages recently. Though both of them will just generate a text-based answer, and that's it. A real AI agent can do something on your behalf. For example, an AI agent will authenticate you into cloud, ask for your preferences, and create a cluster on your behalf. And currently, there's not many true AI agents that can do that. Let's look into details what a real agent consists of. First, we take LLM as a base. That could be Llama, Falcon, Gemma, you name it. Add some memory, short-term or long-term. So LLM as a base, memory, reasoning chains, they help the agent analyze its steps. Usually the models with reasoning chains are called thinking. Then we add some processing tools that could be anything so that it not only works with text, for example. And then we add some external APIs for dynamic data flows. Before we had to initialize all these components one by one, but recently there was a release of Agent Development Kit, and believe me, it's a game changer. What ADK is an open source framework for developing and deploying AI agents. It can be used with popular LLMs and GenAI tools. It's model agnostic, deployment agnostic, and is built for compatibility with other frameworks. It supports complex agent architectures and orchestration. And this framework is what we're going to use today during the tutorial. All right, let's do a quick warm-up. Raise a hand if you're using ChatGPT. All right, raise a hand if you're Team Gemini. All right. Team Claude Anthropic. Cool. And Team Too Cool for AI. No one? All right. I'd also like to highlight that it's extremely important to pick the right model that specializes on your needs. For some cases, small models should be enough, but for complex ones, it's better to use larger models. Most of the AI models are available in different sizes. For example, currently on Ollama.com, a website with models for downloading, there's 182 models available. These are the most popular ones on the slide, and as you can see, models have different sizes, and that's indicated by a number of parameters. A number of parameters means the number of learned weights and connections in neural networks. So the more parameters generally means greater model capability, better performance on complex tasks, but also higher compute requirements, more memory needed, and slower response time. If you choose a weaker model, you might end up with something like this. Obviously, that's Photoshop, but it had similar vibes to what I got at early stages of development. And here's a sneak peek of how well it can go. As you can see, the agent ran a script for authentication. It opened a web page for me, I confirmed, and I was logged in into Cloud. And now we're moving to a tutorial so that you can see the screen on your laptops as well. So let's start the 7-step tutorial, and at the end, I'll give you a link to this project on GitHub. Step 1. We'll create a virtual environment to isolate for the case if something goes wrong. Then we install all the needed packages, that's ADK framework and LangChain community. Step 2. Now we have the setup ready, we can draft an agentic LLM service. Previously, we needed to initialize the memory, conversation chain, reasoning chain, and many other tools like UI to interact with the model, but now it's done seamlessly thanks to ADK. Step 3. To interact with the model, I chose Gemini. We need to get the API key from Google AI Studio. All you need to do is just click the button. It's free and no need to add your card. If it exceeds the limits, it will just stop. After getting the API key, you can check that Gemini API is enabled and we can start using the model. After getting the key, we'll put it in the .env file in your project. And you can skip this slide if you're using a different model. Here's what we have so far. As an example, let's see what components we get in WebUI out of the box in ADK. This is built with FastAPI. In the events, you can see the current conversation chain, then there's state, artifacts, and previous sessions, and it's all reset when you stop the server. This menu is foldable, so you can make the chat bigger. If you enable token streaming, or create a new session, or delete the current session, it will work as well. As for the communication with the model, it allows text input, voice, video, and attachments. Currently, we're at the stage of pure LLM. It doesn't have any tools, so it gave us some tips how to create a cluster. And if you get carried away with prompts, you will see this friendly error at the bottom of the chat. I got it and I was not charged. It just stops working if you exceed the daily limits. Step 4. Let's add search tool to the agent. Just import a built-in tool and we are all set. It calls Search API under the hood. There's also other built-in tools except search. There's code execution, Vertex, doc search. All you need to do is import them and add them to the tool list. And currently for each root agent or single agent, only one built-in tool is supported. And I will show you later what to do if you need several of them. Here's how search usage looks like. The LLM was not trained on the data that contains the answer for what's the name of Lady Gaga, so it had to use the search tool. I didn't tell the LLM to use the search tool, instead it made this decision on its own. So even if you don't learn anything about agents today, you will learn that the real name of Lady Gaga is Stephanie Joan Angelina Germanotta. To add more tools, we'll use tools from LangChain. That's a cool open source library with a lot of stuff inside. I've listed some of the LangChain tools as an example, but there's tools for anything you can think of in the LangChain documentation. Step 5. Let's actually add one of these LangChain tools. As an example, I added Shell, but you should never try this yourself at home. AI might hallucinate and hack your computer. Even though I kind of limited the tool too, it's still dangerous to use the Shell tool on your local machine. Step 6. We need to download and install Cloud CLI for Terminal. I decided to use Google Cloud, but you can use any other Cloud CLI. Here's the link for it, and once it's downloaded, you just need to run the command in your terminal. And if you use a different cloud, skip this slide. Step 7. I actually lied when I told you that we'll make an agent today, because actually we will make 3. In ADK, it's better to isolate tools into different agents. Therefore, we created a separate agent for the search, for the shell, and agent orchestrator to manage them. And as this is the last step of building an AI agent, I wanted to show you an example of multiple tool usage by the agent. The prompt is, check my macOS version and search online if it's the latest. The model checked my OS version by shell command, then it searched the web for the latest available, compared the responses, and gave me the answer. You can also see in the event details on the left, it's great for understanding what's happening under the hood. Wait, is that it? Do we really need just 39 lines of code to stop searching for commands and have an AI agent for it? Yeah, that's the whole code. In our project, we can already have the API key for the model. We already can make prompts. If the LLM was trained on the data, it will just execute the command itself. But if it was not trained, then it will search for it and execute. So it's showtime. I've prepared a demo for you where the agent creates a Kubernetes cluster. So take some popcorn and enjoy. First, I'm asking, how many Kubernetes clusters do I have? The agent is calling the tool, and it failed. So let's start again. Now I'm restarting the agent, and I'm asking what's my current GCP project. And it says that I don't have a project set up. So I'm asking to set this one as the default one. It's executing the tool again, and it says that it was set, but I usually don't trust AI, so I'm checking manually if it was actually set. And it was. So now I'm asking how many Kubernetes clusters do I have? It calls the tool, and it says that I have 2 clusters in running state. I'm asking if they are in one fleet. It is checking. And it says, yes, they are both in one fleet. I'm asking if there were any warnings about them. It calls the tool again. And it says that it was not able to check if there were any warnings because it tried to do that for both clusters at the same time. So it's checking separately per cluster. And it says there was no warnings for them. I'm asking to create one more cluster so that it triggers cluster update for them. For example, a cluster with old version, because clusters with old versions should be upgraded. All right, so yeah, it created a cluster for me, so maybe let's move on. So here's a link for the project that we built today. and you can play around with it. Maybe some of you will even turn it into a successful startup. If so, just send me the offer and I'll join your team. Yeah, for this project we built today, we also need to add security mechanisms before deploying to production. Otherwise, one day you will wake up and find your creation on a Reddit page called AI Fails. If you need a proof that your job is safe from being taken by AI, here's an example. By the way, there's a nice talk about security mechanisms in RAG right after me in this room. As for this slide, I prepared 2 versions of it, for Gen Z and for millennials. As I can see, today we will go with Gen Z slide. So important things to keep in mind when developing an AI agent is not to be sus about your user data and data policies. You should also test it a lot in all possible test variations, because prompt injections are no joke. Also let your users know the limits of your AI solutions and give them the ability to correct the data. When deploying, start small, scale when ready, keep your hand on a kill switch just in case, and catch biases before they catch you. You should always comply with regulations, even though they can be sometimes headache, and create ethics guidelines as well as a tool for gathering feedback. Here's also a list of ideas what I came up with for agents. All these tools take a lot of my time, so I'd be happy to delegate them to AI agents. As a bonus, I decided to also share my take on vibe coding. For those of you who don't know what it is, vibe coding is a software development practice that uses AI to generate functional code from natural language prompts, and it makes app building more accessible, especially for those with limited software developing experience. I'll start with a story. So when I was back in the university, I used to copy my friends' coding homework and run it. It worked and it was convenient, and it also gave me enough time to learn coding at my own pace. Vibe coding is similar to that because you get code for your needs without much effort. And vibe coding is great as long as you read it and test it. If I was to build a graph of reliability and time spent, I'd put vibe coding here. It's fast, but I'd rather not use it in production. Then manual coding would be here. It's more reliable just because if a person can write code, it can also fix it when it fails. Manual coding with tests would be much higher, and you won't be able to push something that breaks previous state because of the tests. And I would put vibe coding with tests here. The test will guarantee that you'll get the same result as you would get with manual coding with tests, and the tests, and it will also save you some time. All right, let's summarize with a slide we already saw. An AI agent consists of LLM as a base, memory, reasoning chain, processing tools, and APIs. First 3 are included into ADK agent, and you just need to add description and tools. For this slide, I posted again a QR code to the project we've built today, so when you go home, clone this repo and vibe code the prototype for something fun. Phew, now we reached the additional resources section. Here I listed ADK docs. That's a great starting point with a lot of useful info to go deeper into agents. And you might also be wondering, hey, what's this game on the right? And it's actually not a game, but it's a scientific paper by scientists from Stanford, Google Research, and DeepMind. They took 25 agents, put them into a simulated world, and watched them behave like humans. It was super easy to read, so I highly recommend it. And the last one is a blog by Simon Willison, and I especially like this one called Hallucinations in Code are the least dangerous form of LLM mistakes, but I will not give any spoilers. And now we reach the quiz section. So please open the browser and we'll play it. So if you go to quiz.com and you enter this PIN code, you'll be able to connect to the session. So in this quiz, we will have short time per question. The faster you answer, the more points you get. And at the end, 3 people will get prizes. Question 1. Which of these creates human-like responses after being trained on large text datasets?
Helena.
Yeah, LLM is the right answer. Question number 2. Which of these searches information in external data sources before answering a question? Alright, so it's RAG. So in the first place, we have Lady Heat, then Lucky Wasp, and I was not able to read the third. Question number 3. Which of these is capable of autonomous actions such as using tools or interacting with environments? Alright, so it was AI agent. Lady Heat is still in the lead. Lucky Wasp and Sister Woman, good job. What is the name of the solution that can help with making an AI agent? Please type 3 letters. Doesn't matter if they're big letters or small letters, whatever. So the right answer is ADK. All right, the situation changed. Question number 5. Select steps you need to do to create an AI agent. Order doesn't matter. So it's one of the questions when you can have multiple or even non-answers. But in this case, all the answers were correct. All right, Lady Heat, AG, and Foolish Ice. Good job. Question number 6. Which of these can be called by AI agent using shell tool?
APA is a pen.
The right answers were Cloud CLI and Git.
Lady Heat is alive.
Yeah, Lady Heat is still in the lead, AG and SO. Next question. What is the name of the framework that contains a lot of pre-built tools for agents? Is it LangChain, LangLeap, LangQ, or Language? Yeah, it's LangChain. Good job. All right, so the leaders are still in the lead. Which of these considerations you need to keep in mind when building an AI agent? Again, it could be none, several, or all of them. So everything except being sus about user data. Did anyone get it right? Oh yeah. Oh no. What is the technique when an attacker modifies the prompt to manipulate LLM into producing unintended responses? The right answer is prompt ejection. And the final question for double points, so the situation can change drastically. The order of actions when vibe coding. You need to reorder these steps. And then click submit. So first thing you do is you prompt a question, then you read the generated code, add the tests, and only then push the prod. All right, let's see who's at the top. So we have So on the third place. We have Jolly Aimbot on the second place. And we have Love Nut on the first one. Do we have all of you in the room? Could you raise your hand? 1, 2, 3. Cool. Good job. And there's also a leaderboard. So I hope you enjoyed the quiz and I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Now it is the end of my talk. And